Before identifying the signs of evil's silent entry, it's essential to clarify what we mean by evil. Throughout history, the notion of evil has been deeply intertwined with religious and cultural narratives. Demons, malevolent spirits, or cursed objects. In many religious traditions, evil is a force that opposes the divine good, seeking to corrupt souls and sow discord. In modern popular culture, we often see this depicted in horror films or dark fantasy stories, where evil appears in a personified form, be it a villain, a supernatural monster, or even a cursed artifact exerting dark power over unsuspecting victims. Yet, beyond these depictions lies a more nuanced understanding. From a psychological or sociological lens, evil can manifest as cruelty, malice, or a deliberate disregard for others' well-being. It could be the manipulative partner who systematically erodes a person's self-esteem, or the individual who takes sadistic pleasure in causing others harm. Evil in this sense is less about demonic possession and more about the presence of destructive intent or moral corruption. It arises when empathy is absent, conscience is suppressed, or self-interest mutates into sociopathy. However, evil can also be more subtle and insidious. One might argue that evil creeps in when negative thought patterns become habitual, when cynicism replaces hope, or when a pervasive sense of anger or resentment colors every interaction. Often, it's not about overt, sensational acts of cruelty. It's about the erosion of one's character, morals, or joy, inch by inch, through repeated small compromises or normalized negativity. Within spiritual frameworks, beyond the Abrahamic religions, there are also concepts of malevolent energies, attachments, or entities that siphon off positive energy, feeding off fear, anger, or sadness. Some traditions describe these malevolent forces as thought forms, created by collective negativity, that can latch onto individuals who are vulnerable due to stress, trauma, or spiritual imbalance. An important thread tying these perspectives together is that evil seldom arrives all at once with dramatic flair. Instead, it weaves itself into daily life, a fleeting angry thought here, a small unethical compromise there, an acceptance of cruelty as normal, or a casual disregard for the suffering of others. Over time, this steady infiltration can poison one's psyche, relationships, and worldview. Why is understanding the multifaceted nature of evil crucial? Because it shapes how we recognize it. If we only imagine evil as a horned demon or violent atrocity, we might miss its quieter forms, an unjust system that encourages apathy, a toxic relationship that subtly robs us of dignity, or a series of personal choices that degrade our integrity. Recognizing that evil can appear psychologically, spiritually, or socially allows us to spot the smaller symptoms of corruption or malice before they bloom into full-scale devastation. Subtle shifts in emotional landscape. One of the first and most subtle signs that evil may have silently entered your life is a noticeable shift in your emotional landscape. Emotions are powerful indicators of our internal state. They serve as barometers for how aligned we are with our core values, our relationships, and our environment. When malevolent influences or destructive energies begin to seep in, they often disturb this emotional equilibrium. A common manifestation might be a slow but steady rise in irritability and anger. You might find yourself snapping at loved ones over minor inconveniences or harboring resentment over trivial matters. While everyone experiences frustration occasionally, a sustained pattern of anger or bitterness could signify a deeper disturbance. This anger may feel justified. Perhaps you believe people are letting you down or the world is unfair, but it's often disproportionate, souring interactions that were once peaceful. Another subtle sign is a lingering sadness or sense of hopelessness without a clear external cause. Evil, in whatever form, has a draining effect on emotional vitality. One might wake up each day feeling a weight on their chest, an inexplicable heaviness that persists even when life's circumstances aren't overtly dire. This sadness can morph into apathy, robbing a person of motivation and cutting them off from sources of joy. Over time, this emotional dullness might evolve into full-blown depression if left unrecognized. Evil also can manifest as amplified anxiety, creating persistent worries, fears of impending doom, or paranoia about others' intentions. People in such states often feel unsafe, even in familiar environments. They may struggle to trust friends and family, suspecting secret betrayals or conspiracies. When this anxiety exceeds normal caution and becomes pervasive, it can indicate that a dark influence is warping one's sense of security and rational judgment. At times, the infiltration of negative energies can result in emotional volatility. One moment, you might feel euphoric or content, and the next, a wave of melancholy or rage washes over you without apparent trigger. This erratic seesaw of emotions can leave you feeling disoriented, questioning your mental stability. While mood swings can stem from various psychological or physiological causes, a sudden onset of drastic emotional fluctuations could signal a spiritual or energetic disturbance. Equally telling is the development of emotional numbness. In some cases, instead of intense negative feelings, the presence of malevolent influence spawns a disquieting emptiness, a sense of being disconnected from yourself and the world around you. Enthusiasm, curiosity, and love may feel muted or distant. This emotional flatlining might occur because the negative energy has effectively shut down your capacity to feel and empathize, a defense mechanism aimed at preventing you from recognizing the infiltration. These emotional changes rarely appear overnight. Rather, they creep in, intensifying over weeks or months. At first, they might be easy to dismiss, bad moods attributed to stress, sadness explained away by life's burdens, or paranoia chalked up to fleeting insecurity. However, as these feelings mount in frequency and intensity, they collectively signal that a darker force may be at play. Changes in thought patterns and self-talk. Beyond shifts in the emotional spectrum, another silent indicator of evil's presence manifests in our thought patterns and self-talk. Often, these changes are insidious, evolving so slowly that they seem like a natural progression of stress or life's challenges. However, when negativity, cynicism, or self-destructive beliefs become dominant, it can be a sign that malevolent influences are at work, subtly reprogramming the mind. One telling sign is the gradual shift from balanced, nuanced self-talk to consistently negative inner dialogue. A person may find themselves bombarded with harsh self-criticism, "I'm worthless," "I never do anything right," or swirling doubt, "It's pointless to try, no one cares about me." While self-criticism can arise from psychological factors like low self-esteem or depression, a marked intensification that seems to come out of nowhere can signal a darker infiltration. Such negative scripts deplete self-worth and open the door for destructive decisions. Similarly, an overarching sense of cynicism or pessimism about life can point to evil influences. If you catch yourself viewing every situation or person through a lens of suspicion, cynicism, or resentment, consider whether these thoughts reflect genuine discernment, or if they've become an overarching narrative you can't escape. A consistently bleak outlook can warp perceptions, alienate supportive friends, and hinder any positive opportunities. Over time, negativity becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, creating exactly the darkness one fears. Another noteworthy indicator is the emergence of intrusive thoughts, unwanted, often disturbing ideas or images that seemingly come from nowhere. These can be violent fantasies, self-harm urges, or destructive impulses that are uncharacteristic of your core values. While intrusive thoughts can be associated with certain mental health conditions, in some spiritual frameworks, they might be viewed as external negative energies or entities influencing one's mind. Regardless of the cause, a rise in disturbing, repetitive, unwanted thoughts suggests an internal turmoil that might stem from an unrecognized dark influence. Disruption in relationships and social dynamics. One of the clearest indicators that an undercurrent of evil has slipped into your life is seen in how it affects relationships, romantic, familial, and platonic. While conflict is a normal part of human interaction, a persistent pattern of toxic or negative dynamics can suggest something more insidious at play. Evil, in its silent infiltration, can disrupt our social ties and encourage isolation, manipulation, or fear. You may notice that once healthy relationships suddenly become fraught with arguments, miscommunications, or mistrust. Friends you used to feel close to may withdraw without explanation, or you might find yourself lashing out at loved ones for trivial reasons. This might indicate that some malevolent energy is fanning the flames of conflict, feeding on tension and animosity. Over time, mild disagreements can escalate into intense rifts, leaving you isolated and more susceptible to negative influences. Another sign is the sudden appearance of individuals who manipulate or dominate. Evil can manifest through people, whether consciously malicious or unconsciously driven by darker energies, who flatter, charm, and then subtly control you. They might gaslight you into doubting your own perceptions, isolate you from supportive friends, or coerce you into unhealthy behaviors. If you feel coerced, uneasy, or drained around specific individuals, this might signal that malevolent influences are using them as conduits. Under silent evil's sway, you may become suspicious of people who've given you no cause for doubt. You might imagine hidden agendas or betrayals everywhere. Alternatively, you could feel that everyone is against you, fueling defensiveness and distance. This stance can erode supportive relationships and hamper genuine connections. Over time, such paranoia can solidify, leaving you trapped in a cycle of fear and emotional alienation, fertile ground for negative energies to thrive. Isolation is often the endgame of dark influences. By driving conflicts within your existing support networks or orchestrating manipulative new relationships, evil can gradually box you into loneliness. Once isolated, you are more susceptible to despair, destructive coping mechanisms, or further negative manipulation. If you realize you have become estranged from almost everyone you once held dear, it's worth examining whether malevolent forces, internal or external, have orchestrated such solitude. Loss of personal agency and self-control. One of the most telling signs that evil may have silently crept into your life is a gradual erosion of personal agency and self-control. While everyone experiences lapses in discipline or self-regulation from time to time, it becomes concerning when these lapses escalate into a persistent pattern that feels beyond your power to halt. Evil, be it energetic, psychological, or social, has a way of subverting free will and leading individuals to act in ways that undermine their well-being and moral compass. A significant indicator is the emergence or intensification of addictive tendencies. These could manifest as substance abuse, compulsive gambling, or even digital addictions such as endless scrolling or online pornography. While addictions have complex roots, involving neurochemical rewards and psychological needs, they can also signify deeper spiritual or energetic imbalances. A malevolent force may exploit your emotional vulnerabilities, pushing you to seek short-term relief in activities that ultimately damage your life and relationships. Another red flag arises when you consistently fail to resist harmful impulses, even when you intellectually recognize them as destructive. Perhaps you snap at loved ones, indulge in reckless spending, or sabotage your health through poor dietary habits. What differentiates these lapses from routine bad decisions is the sense that you are powerless to stop, as though something else is puppeteering your actions. This perceived loss of autonomy can be deeply unsettling, contributing to shame and despair. Evil infiltration can also manifest as a sense of being disconnected from your authentic self. You might find yourself speaking or behaving in ways that clash starkly with your core values. Close friends may remark that you seem different or off, and you might catch yourself reacting to situations with unfamiliar aggression or apathy. This incongruence may hint at external or internal negative forces steering your behavior away from what once felt natural and right. Another subtle manifestation is the repeated sabotage of growth opportunities. You might procrastinate on a pivotal project, undermining your career progress, or withdraw from a supportive community just when you need help the most. On reflection, these actions often seem senseless or irrational, fueled by an inexplicable aversion to success or happiness. In spiritual or esoteric contexts, such self-sabotage might be a sign that destructive forces are influencing your mind and limiting your potential. In essence, evil's hallmark is the erosion of self-determination, turning you into a passenger in your own life. By identifying the signs of lost agency, From compulsive habits to a disturbing sense of being not yourself, you can intervene before these forces fully hijack your destiny. Overcoming malevolent influence and reclaiming wholeness. Having explored the various signs that evil may have silently entered your life, ranging from emotional turmoil to physical manifestations, relational breakdowns to spiritual disconnection, the question arises: how do we break free from these dark forces and reclaim our sense of wholeness? While the exact path to healing depends on individual circumstances and beliefs, certain core strategies prove invaluable in warding off or dispelling malevolent influences. The first step is recognition. Identify negative thought patterns, persistent misfortunes, or manipulative dynamics for what they might be: a silent intrusion of malevolent energy or influence. Naming the issue is crucial. It shines a light on the hidden corners where darkness thrives. Whether you term it evil, negative energy, or unhealthy relationships, acknowledging the problem prevents denial from taking root. In the midst of silent evil's influence, spiritual routines may have slipped. Recommit to your chosen paths: daily meditation, prayer, journaling, or reading sacred texts. If you've lost connection with a faith community, explore ways to re-engage or find a new circle that supports your renewed quest for truth. Spiritual discipline acts as an anchor, keeping you grounded in higher principles when negativity tries to sway you. Evil often exploits emotional vulnerabilities. Prioritizing self-care, balanced nutrition, exercise, and sufficient rest can bolster psychological resilience. Consider mindfulness techniques like breathwork or yoga to help regulate stress responses. If you find yourself stuck in guilt or shame, self-compassion exercises, like writing affirmations or practicing loving-kindness meditation, can heal emotional wounds and rebuild confidence. Finally, break free from destructive cycles by making conscious decisions that reflect your authentic values. Every time you choose honesty over deceit, forgiveness over bitterness, or self-care over self-harm, you weaken evil's hold on your life. Over time, these seemingly small choices accumulate into a transformed reality. Have faith in the power of awareness and transformation. Dark forces, harmful energies, or evil in its myriad forms can and do infiltrate lives, often without fanfare or dramatic entrance. Yet, acknowledging the subtle signs of its presence is half the battle. From shifts in emotional equilibrium and thought patterns to relationship ruptures and moral confusion, these warning signals invite us to shine a light on the darkness. They remind us that, while evil may be an ever-present possibility, we possess the innate power to confront it. Above all, remember that awareness is your strongest weapon. By learning to spot the subtle clues of malevolent influence, you avoid becoming an unwitting host to forces that erode your well-being and your sense of self. Evil thrives in secrecy and denial. It withers under the scrutiny of truth and conscious intent. Trust in your capacity to stand firm in the face of encroaching shadows and to choose paths of integrity, compassion, and love. In doing so, you become both a protector and a beacon, casting light for yourself and for others who might also be wrestling with an unseen darkness.